Hello students, welcome to lesson 14, the graph of a linear equation, horizontal and vertical lines. So the last several lessons have been about equations with two variables. The difference between equations with one variable and two variables is equations with one variable, the answer is just a number or an infinite number of numbers or no numbers. So equations with two variables now, we found out their solutions were individual points that satisfy the equation. Like in the one where she's shooting basketball hoops, there's 2 pointers and 3 pointers, and there's only a certain number of 2 pointers and a certain number of 3 pointers she can get that solve that equation because they have to be whole numbers. You can't have a half a basket. So there were specific points on the graph that solved that equation. So now we're going to look at graphing it in a different way where we can have solutions that are not whole numbers. Okay. So if we graph linear equations in standard form, ax plus by equals c, and a and b equals 0, right? We figured out in the last one that if we did all the half points and all that stuff, it became a line, not just individual points. But what happens if either we don't have an x or don't have a y? And that produces either a horizontal or vertical line. Horizontal going across, vertical going up and down. Okay? So a coordinate plane with a perpendicular axis of x and y axes. So the x and y, your coordinate plane that you graph on. The vertical line is the y-axis or any line parallel to the y-axis. Any line goes up and down, and the graph of the linear equation in two variables, ax plus by equals c, where a is 1 and b is 0, is the graph of the equation x equals c. The graph of x equals c is the vertical line that passes through the point c0. The graph of a linear equation in two variables, ax plus by equals c, where a equals 0 and b equals 1, is the graph of the equation y equals c. The graph of y equals c is the horizontal line that passes through the point 0, c. Okay? So why we say the a on this point has to be 1, or the b on this point has to be 1. So you're dividing, the last part of solving an equation is divide by the number. So you have 1x equals this, or 1y equals that. And where that 1y is, that's where the line is. Okay, so let's take a look. Find at least 4 solutions to the graph of the linear equation 1x plus 0y equals 5. Okay, so I'm going to choose numbers for y here. So if y is 0, 0 times 0 is 0, then 1x equals 5, or x equals 5. If y is 1, 1 times 0 is 0, so x equals 5 again. So if we look at this closely, any number we put in for x, y, or any number we put in for y, x becomes 5, right? And if we put in a different number for x, what do we get? If I put in let's say I put in anything besides a 5 for x. So let's put in a 2. So I have 1 times 2 equals 0 times y equals 5. 1 times 2 is 2. Sorry. Do this again. Start from the beginning. If I put in a 2 in for x, so I have 1 times 2 plus 0 times y equals 5. 1 times 2 is 2, so 2 plus 0 times y is 0 equals 5. 2 plus 0 is 2 equals 5, but 2 does not equal 5. So 2 doesn't work. And as a matter of fact, any number I put in for x except for 5 is not going to work, because 0 times y is always 0. So this is basically saying, this is gone. This is saying x equals 5. So no matter what you choose for y, your x is always going to equal 5. So what does that look like for my equation? Now think of the ordered pairs we have here. So if x is 5 and y is 0, x is 5, y could be 1. X is 5, y could be 2. Any number I put in for y, 3 million, and I still got 5 for the x. So when I graph that, it looks like this. Anytime I graph at any number for y, x is always 5. So it's a straight line, but it's straight up and down. That's a vertical line. And this is parallel. The y-axis goes straight up and down. So all these lines that go straight up and down, they're all parallel to the y-axis. And this is the x equals 5 line. So this line is called x equals 5. Okay? This line right here would be x equals 0. This line right here would be x equals 2, etc. Right? Any line I pick, so this line here would be x equals 4. So wherever I go up, that's where my x equals. And I know this looks like it's not 5, but that's 4. Halfway between 4 and 6 is 5. Okay? All right, let's go on and see it from the other side, right? So what is x plus 0y equals 5 is vertical. Why do you think it's vertical? I already explained that to you. Is x plus 0y equals 3 similar or different? So 0 times y is going to be 0, so that's not going to be there. So this is going to be x equals 3. So how would x equals 3 be similar or different? That's this line here. I can't draw straight up and down. This line here would be x equals 3. How is it similar to x equals 5? How is it different? Okay. How is it similar? How is it different? I keep doing that. Why do I keep doing that? I should take those out. All right, moving on. Find at least 4 solutions to the graph of the linear equation 0x plus y equals 5. So x is going to be gone. Y is going to be just y equals 5. So this is y equals 5. Y is always 5. X, whatever number I pick for x, y is going to equal 5. So if I pick a 1 for x, y equals 5. If I pick a 5 for x, y equals 5. So all of these are the same line, right? So 1, 5 would be this point right here, and this point would be 5, 5, and this point would be 15, 5. Whatever number I pick for my x, my y always equals 5. So this is called the vertical line of y equals 5. So this is the vertical line, y equals 5. Because x disappears, 1 times y is y. Okay? Let's one more spot on there. X plus y equals 2. What would that look like? I did it again. So y equals 2 would be a horizontal line at 2. Would 3y equals 6 be similar or different? So 3y equals 6, what do we do to solve for y? we divide by 3 on both sides, right? So divide by 3 on both sides, y equals 2. So that's why they made a point of saying 1y instead of just ay. Or, because our standard form is ax plus by equals c. And if they say if a equals 0 and b equals 1, then we have y equals c. So if I had 0x plus 3y equals 6, well, the 0x is gone, so now I have 3y equals 6. Divide by 3 each time, y equals 2. So 0x plus 3y equals 6 is actually y equals 2, which is the line, horizontal line at 2. Makes sense? Moving on to the next problem. How do you know if an equation is a vertical or horizontal line? Think about that for a second. What would the equation of a straight line on the x-axis look like? What would the equation of a straight line on the y-axis, right? So if we are talking about our axes, come on, where's my thing? There it is. So we have our graph paper. X goes across, y goes up. So if I have a line straight up and down at, let's say, 5, at 5 for x and 0 for, and so that would be 5, 0, that would be 5, 5, whatever. So what is y is always going to equal, on this case, y could be anything, and the x equals 5. And a horizontal line, the y is going to always equal the same thing. So let's say this y equals 3, that would be 0, 3, or this one would be 5, 3, 3, 5, etc. I keep messing up. So let's finish this up. So how do you know if an equation is a vertical or a horizontal line? Right? If we go back and we look, when we had y equals 5, that means for any number x, y always equals 5. So when I graph it on my x and y coordinates, y always equals 5. That means doesn't matter what x is. X could be out here at 10. Y is always equal to 5. X could be 0. Y would equal to 5. So this is called the y equals 5. It's a horizontal line. If I did, let me do it in a different color. If I did x equals 3, that means x is always 3 and y could change to be whatever it is. So x is always at 3 no matter what y is. So x could be 3, y would be 0. This is 5, so x could be 3, y would equal 5. Okay, so that's always the vertical line. Vertical line, C-A-L. Okay. So what would an equation of a straight line on the x-axis look like? The x-axis is here. That means x is always, it could be any number, and y is always 0. So x could be any number, y equals 0. So x could be any number, y is 0. That would be y equals 0. What would an equation of a straight line on the y-axis look like? That's this one up here. That means the the x is always 0, and the y could be any number. So we have x is always equal to 0. So those are vertical and horizontal lines. Vertical lines are when the x is a number, and that would be the y-axis. And the horizontal lines is when the y is equal to a number, and that would be the y-axis. Okay, so that is lesson 14. Do your homework. We learned about linear equations on horizontal and vertical lines. So when you graph them in the standard equation, ax plus by equals c, when a or b is 0. So if a is 0, x is gone, we have y equals c. And that is a, what was it, a vertical or horizontal line? Y is always equal to 5. That would be a horizontal line. Okay, and if b was 0, then we'd have x equals c. So x equals c, it's always a vertical line. Okay, summary is kind of confusing, but it's saying the same thing. All right, a test following this study guide. So let's make a study guide next.